starts off with a few people, and then the power of those numbers grows. And then, here we are across Canada, and like 800 people later, it's incredible. Looking at the real facts and figuring out a plan. And I think that's exactly what everybody here is doing today.
Our night's been wonderful. We're having a good time, meeting some interesting people.
Ending the epidemic in Canada is so important.
It's going to open our hearts, open our eyes, and make a difference.
This night is so important because it supports really important work that CANFAR does.
So great to see all these amazing people supporting the cause of CANFAR and supporting saving lives of people living with HIV, me included.
This is one of my favorite events of the entire season.
Good evening and welcome to the 24th edition of Bloor Street Entertains. My name is Alex Filiatro and I'm the CEO of the Canadian Foundation for AIDS Research. I'll be your host this evening. I'm so glad we could bring you all together from the comfort of your homes to this very special and unique broadcast, the first virtual Bloor Street Entertains. This evening would not be possible without the incredible support of our sponsors. Really would like to thank BMO, Mintella Corporation and Labatt Breweries of Canada. Throughout the evening, you'll be able to bid on our incredible silent auction. All our partners have come together to create incredible collections of travel, fashion, and art. This evening marks the beginning of a 12-month countdown to the 25th anniversary of Bloor Street Entertains. It's going to be a remarkable year of celebration and recognition for many of the supporters of CANFAR. We'll start by recognizing all of our past chairs. I'm especially honored this evening to present the Patron Circle Award to past chair and honorary chair for this evening's BSc, Salah Bachir. Salah has contributed so much to CANFAR, it's truly a privilege to welcome him. Over to you, Salah.
It's great to see how far we've come. It's great to see the acceptance in the community and people pulling together to end the disease. I remember from the early days of CANFAR and other organizations, at Casey House in Toronto and organizations in the US. So, people were dying at a rate, alarming rate. A couple of weeks, and you'd have friends gone, and you'd be going each week from funeral to funeral, and having treatments and having people on your side. Whereas before, people were being condemned. It was called a gay men's disease, I think we've come a long way. I think I can see the end in sight. I mean, the great self-testing and the end of AIDS is amazing. It's almost like running a marathon and then seeing that bottle of water or champagne or whatever you get at the end, and like anything else, it's been a long struggle. I mean, activism in the community has been great. I know from different organizations that we've talked to and had meetings with, whether it's cancer or feminism or other groups, that the gay community took to the streets to demand drugs and demand changes, and people like Larry Kramer and ACT UP and people here in Toronto and Montreal and other places. And it's been an active struggle, and it's had great support of people like Abluma Appel with CANFAR and June Callwood. When Princess Diana went to Casey House and hugged a child with AIDS, that picture went all over the world, that someone is embracing this, and it's not spreadable by touching or hugging or any of those things, that any of those misconceptions that are out there. Well, I think it's the best get together of the year. It's so great to see friends and people get together and then enjoy what has become, and having all the the restaurants open up, the retailers open up, and all getting together at a party afterwards. And it's a great social event, and I think it's the best party of the year. Anecdotes, I think one of the most famous ones would be when Belinda Stratton and I chaired it, and we were having the after party at the newly renovated Royal Ontario Museum. And we had an art student from OCAD and pull off a stunt and a bomb scare, and it was an art installation. And the irony of it is I'm chancellor of OCAD right now. And So coming back, it's like we had made so much money, and everybody was looking forward to this reopening of the museum, and you know, here I am, was in my tuxedo and my version of a tuxedo, and I think running around to different retailers, or to Prego and Michael Carlovale, to Hermes and Tiffany, and telling them they can't leave and go to the ROM, they have to stay there. And then having Michael Carlovale and Simon Qatar and other chefs pulling stuff out of their freezers and trying to get desserts and stuff for people. And it was being stopped several times. I think at the time, a few of us, and you know, it's November and it's cold in Toronto, and there's a bomb scare. All of Bloor Street is closed off, and how do you go and where do you go, and is it a real bomb or what it was? And so it was almost a very serious incident that we did lose a lot of money that night. But we made, and the whole community came back and made it back on the auction, but nobody knew what to do or what was happening. And I think that's one memory that's always, you know, cited. One of the after parties, because the Blue Jays were in the World Series, and I think the early 90s, and they had won the World Series. And so the last, you know, there's a whole group of sports fans and different people, and there's a whole group of people who wanted to dance. And so the challenge, like 2 days before, is how do we get a bunch of large screens and turn on the World Series and not interrupt people who want to be on the dance floor. And it actually worked out really, really well. And it's some great memories and pictures. And we were afraid we might lose some people, but we didn't lose anybody, because we promised dessert and champagne and large screen TVs while you watch, you know, and entertainment. So it was a great, probably the only World Series party in Toronto that had the best jewelry and more gay men than would ever watch a sports event. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you all for your support of CANFAR. I hope to see you all in person one day soon, and we can all do this together. And have a great night, and lots of love from Jacob, myself, and Max. And you're in for a special treat. My friend of over 35 years, the amazing, the great Jackie Richardson is about to perform. Sit back and enjoy.
I know that these are trying times, but within these times, we hold on to that hope, because that is what is eternal. Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everyone will change. Nothing stays the same. The young become the old. Mysteries do unfold. But that's the way of time. Everything must change. There are not many things in this life you can be sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. Winter turns to spring, and a wounded heart will surely heal, but never much too soon. Oh, everything must change. The young become the old, and mysteries do unfold, but never much too soon. Oh, everything must change. There are not many things here in life you can be sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. Rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds keep on flying, keep on flying. Rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. Oh, rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and music makes me cry. God bless.
This is Valerie Pringle.
He's Andy Pringle.
We're married. My name's Andy Pringle. I'm the chair of the board of CANFAR.
For 25 years. I'm Valerie Pringle. I've been the spokesperson for CANFAR and
For 26 years.
staunch supporter. Yeah, longer than you.
No, you haven't. 24 years, actually.
I've never seen you go out the door, I'd say in 25 years, maybe it's longer, without his red ribbon on. Never. Always. No matter what clothing. It's amazing.
Been since 1995, so
yeah.
How long's that?
Commitment. Well, 25 years. It's amazing. Good for you. The reason, we got involved, and obviously it was you who led it, was just that it was the health challenge of our generation. We had little kids and we're looking, and, my brother's gay, and, was people we knew and people I worked with in broadcasting, and we're going like, this is it. This is the big challenge. This is what we have to involve ourselves in.
It was also, I think, the fact that, Valerie worked at CBC and then CTV, and I worked at a big brokerage firm and then at the Royal Bank. We're involved in big things. Here was a smaller thing where, because of Val's brother, we had a personal feeling of it. And there was a sense that we should get involved in something that's like this, where we might be able to make a difference. I don't think either of us felt it would make up
We'd be doing it for 25 years.
a 30-year commitment, but
But he works so hard at it. And I mean, the passion of Andy chairing this, and I know when he's moving towards self-testing and where do we go, and let's put ourselves out of business in effect, and let's end AIDS in Canada, and we have the tools now, and let's shift the focus and push the government and go visit Dean Street and go to conferences internationally. I mean, he really, I find the word tireless ridiculous cliche, but he's freaking tireless.
It's interesting. Once you commit to something, you want to do it all in.
At CANFAR, we have the privilege of having an amazing group of national ambassadors. They work closely with us to grow awareness, especially among youth. We have a few of them tonight joining us to share some messages.
My name is Maluba, and I'm a CANFAR National Ambassador. In my opinion, and I think my opinion is correct, battling stigma is so important and is a huge part of the fight against HIV, because stigma is part of why people are getting sick from HIV or dying, are not getting access to treatment, are not getting support, and are being isolated because of that, is part of the reason why some people don't test. They'd rather just not know, because they know that the stigma is out there. So it's a huge thing. I know for me, I lived many, many years depressed and lonely and isolated, and a pill could fix that. It could fix me to be undetectable, but I wasn't happy in any way, and I was sick in so many different ways that weren't exactly related physically to the HIV. Stigma is a real problem, and stigma is a disease in itself, and we know that, if we're getting all these magical, it seems, HIV medications and these new interventions and these new groups, but we know that still a lot of people don't show up or are not involved in the community or asking for help because they are afraid of being stigmatized or been stigmatized once, and it's just closed them off.
I think it's still so important that we're like talking about it, and that we're fighting stigma, and that we're like putting out education, I think, to the general public around HIV and AIDS, because, the fact that we're still having an increase of people like newly diagnosed with HIV, I think that there's still like a lot of work to be done around it, because we went from the 80s where there was like this pandemic when it came to HIV and AIDS, and then because of the advancements of medical science, I feel like I've almost noticed that, I think from like a mass media perspective, people are not talking about HIV as much now. But I think it's really more important than ever that we're staying on top of that to really help fight and battle stigma, because, even someone like myself who is, more of like a newly diagnosed person living with HIV, I felt in the beginning when I was going through kind of my journey of just learning about my diagnosis, that I wasn't sure where to like get information kind of out there to like help me. So I think it is. I still think that it is so important right now that we continue to like fight this battle and try to fight stigma and get out more education to people that are out like mass across our country. Having a self-testing kit that someone can do from the comfort of their home, that no one else needs to be involved. I think that like just from a mental health perspective is like such a huge game changer that will like hopefully encourage more people to, feel confident and, feel safe enough to just to be able to test from their homes.
Hi, my name's Trevor Stratton. I'm the coordinator of the International Indigenous Working Group on HIV and AIDS for its host organization, the Canadian Aboriginal AIDS Network. I mean, if you're seeing someone being discriminated against because they're HIV positive, then that would probably be a deterrent from going to find out if you're HIV positive, or presenting for testing. Even going there can be stigmatizing. If the stigma is there in the community and with your friends, then you carry it into the testing center with you, and along the treatment cascade as well. I mean, taking the meds, going to pick them up, someone might see them, and then, adhering to the medications. If every time you swallow your pills, you're thinking stigma and discrimination, and, that's a hard pill to swallow. So I'd say every step of the way, including prevention, it's a huge barrier, and the fact that it's still there is, very troubling, and I think it's our biggest challenge. I'm hoping that some of the harder to reach populations are prioritized. It's so easy to reach for the lowest hanging fruit, but the sweetest berries are at the top of the tree. The birds get them all, and we need to try to get the hardest to reach first, because it's so easy. You want to hit 2/3 of people at risk or living with HIV. You go to the usual suspects, right? And there's others are in the margins, like Indigenous people, African, Caribbean, Black people, people who use drugs, and people just that are already marginalized and are already criminalized. I'd like to see a stronger focus on reaching the hardest to reach first, like front loading our efforts. It seems to me that if we were able to do that, everything would fall in line. So all of these resources that we often put toward that 2/3 that are easy, I think we should put it toward the 1/3 that are really hard, really difficult to reach. The ones that are experiencing racism and all these other isms and discrimination and generally don't have the same kinds of access to the messaging and to the services that are available out there for those of us who are privileged and living basically as enfranchised Canadians, you know, living the dream, the Canadian dream.
My name is Sean Rourke. I'm a scientist at the MAP Center for Urban Health Solutions at St. Michael's Hospital and a scientific advisor at CANFAR. So why is it so important to have HIV self-tests approved in Canada? Well, there have been extraordinary scientific advances in HIV treatment around the world. CANFAR has been part of that effort to fund the best people, the best science, and the best treatments. But for people to benefit from those treatments, we have to get people diagnosed. And so unfortunately in Canada, we have people, about 14% of people who are living with HIV who don't know it. And so they're not benefiting from these treatments. Now, what is it about these treatments? Well, if somebody goes on treatment, you can live practically a normal lifespan. And so this is a huge advance. Very few side effects. People can not only live normal lifespans, but they could also, when their virus is undetectable, can't transmit it to their partners. So this is a huge breakthrough in science and in public health. In addition, people who are on treatment and are undetectable, couples can have children. I mean, these are huge advances. So all this comes back to getting people diagnosed. And for those who are undiagnosed, those people aren't coming forward into care and getting the benefits from these. So self-testing allows us this opportunity, this incredible opportunity to actually fill that gap, reach out to people and allow them the opportunities to test, get diagnosed, get into care and on treatment so they can live normal lifespans. So now that HIV self-testing is licensed here in Canada, what progress, what's the rollout going to look like? What's that going to mean to Canadians? Well, it's very, very significant that we'll now have an option of reaching people who aren't coming forward for testing, right? So people are not coming forward because of a variety of situations in their life. Stigma is a big factor of why people are resistant to come forward, but there's a lot of other things that are going on in people's lives. And so self-testing allows us the opportunity to reach people and provide that link into care. This is huge. Where does self-testing fit into the global efforts to end the epidemic? Well, it's very significant globally and certainly nationally here in Canada. We want to end the HIV epidemic here in Canada. We can do that in the next 5 years if we actually have the leadership that we need and we also have the tools. Self-testing is one of those tools that's going to make a huge difference because it allows people to get connected into the healthcare system. It allows people to know their status. It allows people to, those who are undiagnosed, to get diagnosed and benefit from those treatments, get connected to care, allow them or enable them to reach a point where they're undetectable so that they benefit from these therapies. So it's huge and it'll make a significant difference here in Canada as we roll this out.
I hope you're enjoying your evening so far. I now have the distinct pleasure of introducing an award-winning singer, one of Canada's leading voices, Molly Johnson.
I'm going round the bend like it'll never end. Here I go again. I'm going round and around, you know I'm losing ground, just keeping on and on. There's a light up ahead, it's burning bright in my head, like a street light on an empty road. You know, I can't see the shine in the silver lining no more. It seems we ain't got the time to make the rhythm rhyme, just keeping on and on. 'Cause I got something here you'll never know you need. No more tears are coming down from me, 'cause that was just the rain falling. You got your big old drops hitting the ground, yeah. And everything has changed. Whoa, darling. So goodbye, Montreal. I'm gonna miss you. You know, people come and people go when things change. You might like it today and then it all goes away. It's all been rearranged. And you find yourself finally free to surrender to me. You should know it just can't be. 'Cause that was just the rain falling. Big old drops hitting the ground, yeah. And everything has changed. Whoa, darling. So goodbye, Montreal. I'm gonna miss you. Funny how we don't see it come. Suddenly everything is done. All you can do is listen to the rain, 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 baby. Just the rain falling, big old drops hitting the ground, yeah. And everything has changed. Whoa, darling. So goodbye, Montreal. I'm gonna miss you, yeah. I'm gonna miss you. Gold drops hitting the ground. 'Cause that was just the rain, rain, rain falling. You got your big old drops, yeah, they're just hitting the ground. 'Cause that was just the rain, rain, rain falling. Big old drops hitting the ground, yeah. 'Cause that was just the rain, rain, rain falling. You got your big old drops just hitting the ground.
What an amazing performance. Thank you so much, Molly. Now, I'd like to share a recent conversation I had with the music director of the National Arts Centre in Ottawa, Alexander Shelley. Good evening. Welcome, Alexander, and thank you so much for joining us for this extraordinary Bloor Street Entertains 2020. We're so grateful that you could join us this evening.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you.
Tell me a little bit about how you feel about CANFAR and its mission currently in Canada to end HIV and AIDS, and how it has impacted the artistic community.
Well, this is an issue that has been very present in the artistic community for decades and decades, and the continuing work to make sure that the conversation is front of mind, that the issue is not taboo, that people talk about it, discuss it, that we're able to make advances and make sure that it's part of our continuing conversation, I think is vital and continues to be vital. I know that the creative community has benefited so greatly over the decades from the work of your organization and partner and sister organizations around the world. And quite frankly, the world of music, of all types of music, simply would not look and sound the way it does if it weren't for that work. So we in the arts community, if I may speak for my colleagues, are so grateful and so proud also to be able to support in any way we can.
Well, thank you so much. This collaboration means so much to CANFAR, and we're very grateful once again. Tell me a little bit about this piece that you've chosen tonight, this special piece that you'll be sharing with us later.
Well, a few weeks ago, the National Arts Centre Orchestra and I opened our season. For the first time in 7 months, we were able to perform together for all the obvious reasons. And we asked ourselves, what can a national organization, what can a national orchestra do now that speaks to the issues that we're all living through? And so we created a program called Solace, and it began with a work by the first African-American composer to win the Pulitzer Prize, a man called George Walker, followed by one of the leading lights in composition of our day, a young African-American woman called Jessie Montgomery. And it went through then Canadian works from the time we're living in now and from previous times. And it ended with a work by Jocelyn Morlock, who is a fabulous Canadian composer, and it's her piece called Solace. And it really conjures up that which the arts can offer, which is a wordless communion from soul to soul. And what you'll hear in this piece is part of our orchestra, the strings, playing together this slow, beautiful, meditative, ethereal music with two of our musicians, Yosuke Kawasaki and Julia McLean, so a violinist and a cello, playing solo parts. And as the composer described it, it's like a conversation. The violin is kind of nature, bird song, and the cello, which is the deeper register, is like plain chant, that kind of meditative plain chant. So it's called Solace, and I hope that it offers to our audience and to all who are tuning in exactly that, solace.
I'm so looking forward to it. I know that music plays an important role in our lives in terms of healing, in terms of bringing us to a different space. And I'm sure this is exactly what it's going to do this evening. And I think that all of our participating audience tonight will enjoy it very much. Thank you so much, Alexander.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed your evening. It's already coming to an end. I've really enjoyed spending it with you, and I hope that you enjoy our programming. We had some great speakers, we had some great performances. What a way to celebrate Bloor Street Entertains, the 24th edition. Until we meet again for the 25th anniversary, thank you for joining us.